Okay, I think this time it might be working. Okay, might be working. Let's see. I'm still not really sure about the sound and all. I'm using a different microphone than I had at some point, and I'm not sure if it's the quality of the microphone, or if is it my voice, or is it some setting, but something, I don't know. I'm not really happy with the microphone as it is now. Okay, it's working here. I'm gonna open this one now. Yeah, and I have a new computer as well, so I think there might be some things here that I'm doing like very wrong, that I didn't understand that I'm doing wrong. But I noticed I had a last stream like maybe 2 months ago or something like that, and I was talking about the future of mankind and about like these possibilities of some kind of like it's kind of like a civilization collapse or human extinction. And I was gonna like, maybe main message was that in the short run, that I think like maybe in the short run, like next next 100 years or so may be quite crucial, but after that it's kind of like I think there are like I would say like good long-term to avoid conflict, and I think that's also like if you have like good prospects in long term, so that if you make it into the future, we have some very like there's a lot, that means that there's a lot of value in the future and a lot of value into making, into surviving into that future. And that means that all the things we do at this point in time right now can be very beneficial for, if you're looking at humankind's like expected utility, expected kind of like welfare in the long run, in the long term. This here. I'm not really feeling the music now, but so I've been having this idea for quite a long time to make some kind of website. Okay, so this is kind of like motivation. So the website. So there's the R language and there's the shiny, kind of like the shiny package or shiny kind of like a environment that can be used to make these kind of dashboards. So this could be kind of like a dashboard to help. Like Doomsday scenarios, probabilities, and outcomes. So I've been thinking like how I'm thinking about doing this is to have is to have this kind of we haven't x-axis we always have time, and it always starts at present time, so it could be like 2025, and the user could choose the time scale. So this could work. This would work as a so it could be so then the power of 0 is gonna like 1 year. Well, that's maybe not like a option. Then we have a 10 to the power of 1. 10-year time scales, 10 to the power of 10 would be 100 years. Oh, 10 to the power of 2, sorry. And we have 10 to the power of 3 is like 1,000 year. So we have like a 10,000 year and so on, like and I'm thinking like what would be the most maybe kind of like a default setting would be to have a 1,000 year or 10,000 year time scale. So let's say we have the 1,000 year time scale. Okay, I'm not gonna add that here yet actually, but here in the view, let's have like a 7 as an example to 1,000 year. Scale chosen here, So that means that we're gonna split this. Let's try to make four segments here that are I didn't think this through, maybe like let's just say that these are of the same size here. All of these. Oops. Oh, I'm gonna restart that thing. Okay. Can I see here now? Okay. Okay, let's get that. So, so the user can then put in these values for well, let's have like a annual Doomsday probability. So maybe here it could be like this kind of sign, and then I'm thinking that it could be like so here be like so this could be like for 4 years. So we go to scale here. So this is from 2025 to 2026, and here, well, now it gets a little bit tricky, which I'm not really sure about how this should be done. Like, should I have so because I want to have these different like different time scales, like so that the first one is kind of like a yearly, or like the most intermediate yearly Doomsday event probability, and then we have kind of like a 10-year interval, and then 100-year, and then 1,000-year. So do I want to have them? So is this? Okay, this is quite open. Let's select 2026. But here, do we have here 2035, or do I have if I go, let's see, is this 2036 or 2030? Wait a minute. If it is 2037, yeah, it cannot be 2037, but which one of these is it? Like, which one tells like a better, which one makes the idea clearer. And then we have here, do we have in 100 years time scale, do we have 2025 or 2125, or do we have do we go 100 years from here, which would put that as something like this. And here, do we have when we go 1,000 years, do we go 3025, or do we add 1,000 years to this number and we have 31? So like that. So what is the, like with this one, you get the better I'm gonna have here 2026 anyway, and here. So now, is it the A row or the B row? Which one is the? Which one would be better here? Ooh, do I have this? No. Is this crashing? Trying to see how much. I'm looking at my new computer, like the OBS is quite, it's taking quite a lot of CPU. It's like I have a, there should be quite a lot of CPU here, but it's taking like 60-70% of my CPU. Yeah, so here with this one, if we go with option B, we have like this distinct time intervals. With but the problem is that like time scale, because there's like so many numbers changing here compared to here. You only like if you look at this, so here we have like here only this number changing, there we have this number changing, here this number, here this number, so it's kind of like easy to follow up. It's kind of like a story from one to the next. But here it gets kind of awkward that like we have here here we get like a 9-year interval, and here we get like a 90-year interval, and here we get 900-year interval between the different points in time. And here we have a 1 year, but here we have like a 1 year. It's always like the 100 years, and here we have 1,000 years, like or like the difference between the the next points in time. So that's a little bit tricky for me to think like how would you put that, but maybe we'll put that thinking to the side a little bit for now, and we focus on this so the green, so the color the user is choosing is the annual Doomsday probability here. So some level here. We can actually put these inside here. And these are just, you shouldn't think anything about these values here that we are using here. They're just for as an example. So here we could have like this, and now we put something bigger here if the user thinks that the yearly probabilities is lower here, 32, or it's bigger. And so on, and then we could also have other value, because there's another way to approach this as well. We could also have I didn't really think this through now. Okay, we can throw it here. And we could have, okay, I can actually continue doing this green stuff first, because I want to draw the scales. So here we have something like this, and 1, 0. Like that. 0, 0, 0, 5. So here we think that it gets very low, the probability here in the end as we go further. So the user could also have as an option to choose. Okay, I just keep forgetting. So let's have at a scale here. Let's go like okay. So we have like 0.4% here and 0.3% and 0.2%. That. So then we have for this period here, we have the this kind of probability, and for this period here we have this kind of probability, and for this one it's here and here. So this kind of visual presentation helps, it makes it clearer like how, and I don't know, it's and I'm thinking like one way to do this selection is the user can input these values, but we could also have this kind of, I don't know if this is a stupid idea, but have this kind of arrow buttons that the user can click. So each click would increase or decrease these values. And I'm thinking that it could be this kind of like 4 separate, instead of like one, because I'm thinking like a problem with this kind of box where you just write like 0.15. Thinking like, is this actually slower to use than this, where you can say if you want to change this to 0.16, then you have to write the whole thing like 0.16 here, whereas in here you can just press this arrow button once and it increases that kind of like decimal there. So, but I'm not sure, like of course you can just like here select this 5 and change it to 6, but that's also already, it takes a little bit. I'm not thinking is it like a more of a mental struggle. So yeah, but I'm not sure. So the next thing, there could be like another scale here, which is the kind of like survival probability. Thinking I think I always write probability wrong, but by given year. So this could be in red then, and like here if you have well, let's have, I think we're gonna have kind of like a roof here for these systems. So So we have like 100% here. So at current time we are, as we start, we are at 100%. And then we're gonna go see here. We could have like this kind of same kind of. So now here, this is maybe this shouldn't be used here, but we can use. So we have 99.85. So we will have survive until the end of next year by near certainty. That's the point here. I'm gonna check something out here. Okay, and then we have same kind of thing over here. So this is basically like we go here. Could write this kind of like red thing, and I don't know. We could have let's put. I'm not gonna calculate this because it's too much work. But let's put something that is like maybe close to the. So here we would have like something like 97.05 or something. So if we have okay, this is wrong. Is it? We have 0.3%. Yeah, it's quite 97. And here it's gonna take like 100 years. 10%, okay. Am I thinking this correctly? Yeah, I guess so. Let's have two big numbers. If we have like one tenth of 0% chance. This sounds too big. Wait a minute. Yeah, maybe this is a little bit too much. We have yeah, let's say we have something. Okay, let's just say we have something like 80.25% here. And then let's say we have like a, okay, we have like a 0.525 here. So we could draw the scale to go to 0, because maybe with these numbers it would make sense, but we could also have if we have a lot lower numbers here, we could have the scale to like stop at like 80% or something like that. If we kind of like want to, like, if let's say like the 80% is the lowest value that we are ever gonna get. So if you're gonna use this scale that goes from 0 to 100, then like this would be like the highest value used, and here you couldn't really like distinguish these differences or the progression so well. Now we could put here, like some kind of like here, like this is very much close to 100. Here we have like a little bit lower, and then we have a lot lower here, and then it goes to here or something like that in a 1,000-year time scale. So we have these green lines for the annual probability of this whatever civilization collapse or human extinction, whichever you want. So we're gonna draw the line. The red line here is now depicting the continuous thing here. So this could be like one way to, and if you change this value here, let's see, I'm like thinking like, so if you change any of the green values here, then it's quite easy to like understand how it affects, it will affect, like if you change this one here, it only affects this one, and if you change this one here, it will affect this one, and of course like all the values here in between. And if you change this one, yeah, it affects these ones here in between. But if you want to have these, so what I think it would be nice is that if you have this kind of like a two-way connection here, that you could also choose this survival probability, and it would feed back to these values here. But maybe the problem there, I'm thinking like, is it, how much of a problem is it that it's because if I change this one here, because this might be like a result of a change, like any of the changes here will affect this, the change in this probability. So how does it work if we go backwards? If I change this here, it's understandable that it will change. So if I change here, if you have like 0.5 here or 5%, and I'm gonna put it up higher, I can put this one lower, but I can also put this one lower, and it would it would there's like multiple ways how I can reach that goal here, but of course if I keep these ones constant, then it's a little bit trickier. If I change this one, I can only change this because if I change if it feeds into these ones here before, then this one would also have to change. But if I have only changed this one, then it might be, yeah, I can like do that, but then I would again like have to determine somehow like what's the how it affects, and I don't really know like how is it like, what's the kind of like sensible solution there. It's a little bit hard. Hard to figure out. It's also, yeah. And what if I change this one here? What if I put like 95% here? This goes lower. Will I have it only affect this one? And and if this one is affected, will it then affect this one as well? Because if this one isn't affected, and let's think. If it affects that one, so if this one is not affected, then if it would have to affect this one here. I think that one would be even harder for the reader or the user to understand. So okay, I get back again to this one. If I change this one, did I make a rule that whenever I change something here, it's gonna only affect the annual probability before that? But then it gets, I don't know if that's a good choice either. Yeah. One other thing that I've been thinking about is that if I have, but I'm not sure if this is gonna help the problem. Like let's have this. Oops. You know what? Like let's have this. Okay. Like if I have these selections, if they also like depict some years, is it like easier to choose the probability for a year, like if I have like for 2026 here and here like 2035 and 2125 and 3025, for example. So this would be the green ones here would be choosing it for that, and then we would have let's see here like it would go more like this, like there would be it would be like some probability, or it could then it gets a little bit maybe harder to see like how if you have this, that instead of the annual like continuous probability, and instead we go to this, that we have this for each year. We have to like then decide like what's the continuous between those years that you choose. So like between 2026 and 2035, is it this kind of like how do they kind of like read? I don't know. Hello Twitch chatter. VJ Reds. This is a kind of like a stream for planning this kind of website, this kind of dashboard website to kind of like simulate something like Yeah, calculating future is correct. Like if we have well, maybe the red one, like survival probability by a given year, and the user could choose like different time scales. Yeah. Yeah. So, but this is more like this. Like I'm not like, maybe calculator is bad word, but kind of like to demonstrate. Like if maybe my main motivation is that like if you would change, if you have this like very low probability here, like annual, we have 0.01% probability for human extinction or other kind of like civilization collapse. So that's quite low, but it accumulates over time to have like some kind of like low survival probability, and it can also be that in the future it might be if we survive to the future, like to the far future, like 100 years or 1,000 years, it could be a lot lower, like the another probability, like it doesn't foresee. Yeah, it doesn't foresee it, but you can basically you can set these probabilities like basically like maybe take it into account in these probabilities that you set in the counter. And I'm not sure like what's the yeah, but it's not, maybe it's not good for like this but yeah, the motivation again here is that like if we could change this to 0.009%, like even if this seems like a very small, like it used to be like small change in probability, we will increase the kind of like this, it's gonna, okay, I'm actually missing something here. So it's gonna increase this kind of like expected, if we take a expected human lives from here to infinity, like what is the, how many lives is there's gonna be, or how many years is the mankind going to like exist. So the thing with the extinction is that like it is permanent. So if we go down once, we cannot get back. So in terms of like expected values, this kind of like that we increase this probability that we are gonna survive. So it's gonna like this kind of like dramatization, but it's gonna like we are gonna like save a lot of like future lives if we work now. Like you can like, I don't know, like I don't know, maybe I'm not too good at explaining this, but this is also what the calculator would be about, like maybe like yeah, I need to add this like I've been thinking about adding this like population here, for example. So if we have like, or some kind of like welfare measure, so if we have like 8 billion people now, okay, let's say we start here, and this like population is maybe not I think how it goes is that we are gonna increase the population until here, and then it's gonna start decline because the fertility is down, but we don't really know what happens. Like I think there are some United Nations predictions, but they are they're not really concerned, like I think like they not go further than 100 years or so. So but I think like in terms of like I think at some point there's, especially if we gonna reach space when we don't have to start so if you're gonna reach space at some point, I think then also the population might go up, or I think like a part of the reason why there are so low fertility rates is because people are worried that the planet cannot hold so many children, so that I think that might reduce fertility rates, especially in the West. But yeah, again, if you think not just like in terms of like people, but also like welfare, kind of like having some kind of welfare correction here, because we are getting like humankind as a whole, we are getting, there's less poor people. There's, if you look at statistics, there's like all the time there's less poor people, and there's like people live longer, and people live I don't know, at least in some measures people are happier, so this could be also like corrected in the future. So it is important, like but if we happen to screw it up here and lose all of this, so, and maybe go a wrong way here, we increase the probability, then that's gonna like we have to like calculate our effect on like not only on that year or that decade, but like in the as far as we really want to think. But that also like depends on, like, there's a lot of things we cannot, like, I think there's a solid argument that if mankind is gonna be destructed anyway, then we're just delaying the inevitable. Like, is there gonna be nuclear war in any case? Is there gonna be some kind of pandemic or asteroid hitting the world anyway? So then if we like do something, then we are, so at some point we're gonna go crashing down anyway, then we are not gonna be saving as much with this, like by reducing our extinction probabilities in the short run. But I still think that it's but yeah, it depends on like what kind of like baseline probabilities you're gonna set here. And I think like yeah, I think like I think like next 100 years are pretty crucial. Like, if you're gonna survive until like maybe 100 years from now, then I think like these like annual extinction probabilities are gonna go down, because we either are gonna get there, maybe not eternal, but it might well be like a 10,000 year humanity. Or also if we are gonna like expand on other planets. And yeah, that's also like, I don't think the sun argument is so valid, because we can, I think by that time, like, it's like the sun exploding is like billions of years away. So I think by that time we have like learned to move to other solar systems, like learn to travel between stars and find new stars within the galaxy. So that, I think that could, if we're gonna reach that point that we can move to another planets, that's gonna like decrease this probability by a lot. And it could be like here, like maybe like after, like, here's the time scale, like basically like 100 to 1000 year time scale. So maybe this could be like, or maybe after the 1000 years or something like that we could, but and if we can move to another planet, that's gonna like that's gonna increase the security and also like all kind of this kind of like welfare, because there's a lot more resources in other planets, and once we learn to go to one other planet, we can learn to go to yeah. Yeah, I think like also that like do you mean that like if there was 5,000 people uh, mm, yeah, I don't know, I'm not, it's not like my expertise on the interstellar travel, but I think like I think I think there's been a lot more some like credible seeming people have been more optimistic about that. So I think it's I would keep it possible based on my knowledge, but yeah. And there's also this like here I think I'm gonna, with your like 5,000 people, there could also be like that, like I'm thinking about these possible scenarios of this kind of doomsday, and we might not have extinction, but we have this kind of like civilizational collapse. So instead of going to zero, we go from 8 billion to 5,000 people, and at some point, let's say here, and then we would probably like stay there like for a long time, or maybe like die away, but they could also like be kind of like a return to maybe even to current population levels at some point. It's also like a probability, and I think it's very could be a like very important distinction. Like, can some of us survive like that kind of population that can survive in the world after the collapse for like so that they can sustain themselves, and not just for like some 100 years, but for like so that they can rebuild at some time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not like I'm not sure about that, because there's like with nuclear war, there's like this nuclear winter thing that will like make it a lot harder to have agriculture. So there's colder temperatures and no sun if you have like this large scale nuclear war. So if there are these people who have survived and they are in like there's no society around them, or no civilization, and the agricultural situation is a lot worse than we have now, and they don't have like the agricultural skills needed, so that can be like a very like a bad situation, and no kind of like a yeah. No agriculture at all during Ice Age. Was all of the like I'm thinking like, where was Ice Age? Was it like Ice Age like 4,000 years ago or something like that, or like that time scale, like a 10,000 year? What? Because I'm thinking like, uh, well, and how extends? Yeah, 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 yeah. That also will like artificial things. Yeah, uh, I think we can definitely like survive. Like, but I think like it takes a lot of things coming together. The technology has to be like it has to be within the reach of those people who survive, so maybe within those bunkers or something like that, and it has to be in kind of like prepared state at all times, so that when the and because the nuclear war it can be like over within an hour or so, or that's kind of like it can be a significantly less than an hour for you to be kind of like in a necessary position to, so they would have to be already like those, especially if you're thinking about like short term, like are there being preparations made right now for those kind of like things to be used, and like because after the society collapses and there's no internet and there's electricity is very low and like access to technology is limited, it's gonna be hard for those survivors, and that might be like maybe only just like thousands of people to. Is there gonna be extra expertise and for among those people to take advantage of that technology, and is the technology accessible to those people? So I think that. Yeah, I don't know if those Doomsday planes, like, where do they land and stuff like that. I'm guessing like I would guess that bunkers are more likely, like that they are stuff is stored in bunkers, and like maybe it's not like a. I don't know. Could be the Putin's bunker that contains that stuff. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, still. It would have to be like very massive bunkers to have access to all, or the planes, like how big of a plane would it have to be to have all the necessities, or I don't know. Of course the plane might have like some kind of destination to get to, but I'm just like I think it's very it might be more probable that there's only like collapse instead of extinction, but I still think like extinction maybe so that there's gonna be like first we go from 100% to 1% after like the initial like nuclear escalation, and then this 1% is gonna die off within the next year or next. It could like survive like 50 years in bunkers, but I think like some small populations, but I'm still it could still happen that they don't have access to the in that bunker, like access to enough technology or access to enough like stuff for making everything better, or like starting again or stuff like that. Yeah, I don't think I've heard about that. I think when the Ukraine crisis started, I think I heard that Putin is somewhere inside some mountain or something, like, or he's not in the Moscow at least, or something. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that was the case. Yeah, but I think we still, and again, of course, even if we have the case that like some people survive and they are, there's a possibility of like within like some hundreds of years for humanity to start coming back. It's still a lot of like lives lost, potential lives lost. It's like billions, tens of billions, like life years that we lose. And I still think that we have to, I don't know, like what's the, even if the probability is like very small that there's this actual like extinction, the small probability if you lose everything, there's no future, there's no going back, and never the possibility to go to other star systems, then that's kind of like that is very very big loss. And with this site you could try to quantify that loss. You could also like set like what would be the population over time if there is no doomsday, and then you could compare with some probability of the doomsday happening and stuff like that. And I'm also thinking that there could be this kind of simulation thing that like if you have like annual probability of 1% of something happening, then you could run like 1,000 simulations over time. Here we have like a 10,000 year time scale or something like that, and then you would like and this would be like if nothing happens, it's like this, so there it would show like this kind of like different extinction event like simulated with this probability. So that could also like help, instead of just showing like what's the expected log. So this would be like the expected value. So here like 70% survival by year X. I don't know, this is not the math doesn't add up here anymore, but yeah, something like this, but having like this, and then you could press the button again like to simulate, and it would show like different these. But I think this could be like something very like tangible or something visceral that you see, okay, we go there or something like that. It could help maybe to grasp without this only going with like expected probabilities or this. Yeah, I think, yeah, but I think also that there's some danger there that we have those technologies, but I don't know, like I don't know how to make fire like compared to like those earlier people, or I don't know how to work wood. And if the internet is gone, I'm not gonna learn it. There might be some books that might help a little bit, but there might not be books reachable. I don't know if you're in a bunker, but I'm just like because everyone is so specialized these days, we don't have the general skills, so that might make it harder to come back, and especially because it is a harsh condition. It can be comparable to the Ice Age situation, but I don't. My impression is still, I'm not sure if it was so bad during the Ice Age. But yeah, but it's still yeah, and it's together. But it's if the nuclear war is such that if we have like, let's say that we have like 1 million people surviving globally, so if those people are scattered around the world, that's very like we cannot, there's no and you cannot like decide, okay, we all go to France now and we work there together, because you cannot communicate that, or you cannot travel. Of course, it might be that I think that there's been this that like idea that like maybe Australia or New Zealand or they could be the most habitable zones. So it could be that like majority of the surviving people are there, and then it could be a lot more concentrated, and it could help with this kind of like you are correct that like it is better if you have like you can like lean on other people's knowledge and kind of like and people will have roles and stuff like that. But it's also that like if there is this nuclear war and then there's a societal collapse after that, then there's also the pessimistic scenario that people will only care about their immediate survival and nothing about like the humanity in a longer time scale, and that means that it will be like a like the post-apocalyptic Fallout games or whatever, like where they are like fighting for the last resources that there are or something like that. Yeah, I'm quite skeptical. I don't know about the internet. I'm quite skeptical that I would guess that it takes quite a lot to keep, and you would like you would have to have the servers on for the stuff that it doesn't enough that it's internet. It would only have to have the. Yeah, I'm quite, and also I think like I'm thinking about like nuclear war is part of. I don't know what's the electromagnetic pulse, but whatever. Yeah, it's. I'm not sure. It could be that there's some internet, but also I'm not like totally sure about that. I had some notes somewhere. Yeah, I'm thinking. One thing here is that I also want to have is that it's hard to maybe, like I had here, I had it back there, like I had the 1 year, 10 year, 100 year, 1000 year. Might also, I think it could be that to have something like this, so it's like this is 1000, like because this would be the real x-axis. It is kind of like okay, yeah, see you back maybe. It could be to have in the. I think it could be beneficial to have both timescale systems available for the user to see and maybe at some same time as well. So I think you would get very, I don't know, it would show up like quite differently in this like different I don't know, okay, something that goes like this. In here it would go like this. I don't know, like this is better at like showing stuff for some period or like inside the period and make selections, but this is better for showing like how showing how things affect in different time scales. But I think that both, it could be that the user can choose between these, but it's also that it's good to have both at the same time. Yeah. And also another thing that I'm thinking about having there is that, especially if you have this like a value like population or these life years, I think the life year is like a good concept maybe to have. So if a life year is like population on given year, or I don't know, or I don't, it's not population or given year, it's like a year lived by a person. So then you can say that like if we have like 8 billion people now, so in 2025 we have 8 billion life years. And it's kind of funny that it sounds quite a lot like light year, but it's not. But it's I think it I don't know if this is very so. So let's say we have like if we have like steady 8 billion population until 2125, we have so for the next 100 years, so then we would have 800 billion by so this is kind of like the interesting so these so goal, so if you use this concept the goal is to maximize expected life years from here to infinity. So that's kind of like the concept here. So, and I think these are also because the numbers, they get so large, and if this is the goal and this is the, so we would have this cumulative, like let's say we have here okay, so we start here from 8 and then we have 80 and okay, this is we're okay, then we have like the 800 here and then we have 8,000 here. And it's yeah, here actually, wait a minute. Yeah, it's increasing this kind of like linearly here because we have the linear scale here. So now if we have so we have 8,000 billion lives lived here. So let's say now that we have like a 0.1% chance, or there's like some action we get that like some single event that okay, let's not, we're gonna use some like smaller 0. So if we just use this kind of like as an instantaneous change in survival or maybe destruction, so then you could just multiply 10,000. If you divide the 800 billion, we have like this. This is actually now millions. So I would say, okay, this is like very quick math now. I'm not sure if this is correct, but we would so how many zeros? So 80 million. So if we increase our destruction probability by this small amount, that will cost us 80 million lives years. $1,000-year time scale. And this is like very like simplistic now because we are not like really using these. It's just like this kind of like one instantaneous thing, but it shows how massive the scale is, and I think it would be good to help the user to understand these different or these changes. Is that if the page you could choose different scenarios, you would have the A scenario and then you have the B scenario, and here you have 0.0. Let's go, okay, this 0.01, and in B scenario you have 0.012, So this is basically like now showing the difference between these two scenarios because it's going from this to this. And it would draw, you could have like different colors. We could have the scenario A with blue color. So we could draw the blue line and then the red line if you have like a higher destruction probability. So what's this now? 20 billion. So that's like but let's see. But it would show like the it would show the different like value here, like show these next to each other, like, and then you could click like make a little change here for either scenario, and you could see again like how it affects, like how do these numbers change. I think it's good to have for the site to show both the old and the new values, or the to help like help make the comparison and help like showing this effects of small changes. Because I think like if you only just show the latest value, I think there's this kind of like annoyance, at least for me, that even if I know that I'm like I'm changing like from 11 to 12 here. Okay, nice to have you back. Even if I was talking here about life years as a concept, that we could have like as this kind of like something to maximize the years lived by persons, and that I think that is the way to show how massive. Because even if like in 1,000-year scale, if you have like a constant 8 billion population, we are gonna have 8,000. Did I have already 800 here? We're gonna have like 8,000 billion life years, or years lived by a person. But you could also change this to actually, if you, it might be easier for like normal people to understand, and like that you could change this to lives, like how many lives there are lived. If you have like what's the average like life, it's like 80 years now. So if you divide like it's a bit if you divide this 800 billions or 8,000 billions actually, if you go to this 1,000, so if you divide by 80, then we get like 100 billion lives. So these are, then this would be like so the lives would be like individual lives lived by person. So this could be actually easier to, because then you can like think about yourself as some like you could like you are one of these 100 billion lives, or your lives is one of these if it's gonna last like 80 years. But that could, I think, like it could be a lot easier for to kind of like to grasp the size of or the scale of things than the yeah. Yeah, the 8 billion population is just for this. Like I agree with you that it's not gonna stay there. I just use it here for simplification. But I think that I think the 10 billion is gonna be, but then it's also gonna like go lower than that, and it will be interesting to see like how will it like progress in next hundreds of years. But the fertility rates are going down everywhere in the world, so that means that the population is gonna I think we are like globally we are like somewhere like 2.3 children per woman, and if we get below 2.1 we get to this that we are decreasing population, and we are going to be there in some few decades or something like that, and it's going to be a little bit longer until we reach the maximum population, because people are living longer and longer all the time, but it's still gonna affect. Yeah. Okay, I think I had some other, but I'm gonna like why I'm also talking about this. I'm gonna like trying to clarify the concept of the website to myself, because I'm going to be making some kind of grant. I'm gonna be applying for some grants for making this website, so that I could get money from doing it. So I'm also like planning some kind of grant application, and I'm thinking that I could maybe make as part of the grant application like some kind of drawings. Like these are of course like very rude drawings here, but I'm like trying for myself to kind of like at the same time like visualize it, and like to get some kind of like first drafts on, and maybe above all like think about what would be the different things that I want to like the things that I want to have in the drawings. What's the entropy value in this like predictable entropy value? Yeah, I don't really, not quite sure, but yeah. Also, like I had one other thing that I think would be quite interesting in the site, is that with this allows call web user answers. So yeah, no, maybe more about like the entropy value, like entropy as a, I'm not like what does it mean like as a concept here? Because entropy is something like all the things slowing down or over time, or like maybe kind of like maybe do you mean like ceasing to exist or something like that at some like entropy? I'm not sure. Or is it like reaching some kind of steady state, or like some kind of like equilibrium? I'm not sure what it means here. Yeah. So if you have like 1 year, let's have here like 1 year, 10 years, 10-year scale, 100-year, 1,000-year, like that, and then we have so this is just like, this would be the same as in same form maybe as in the graphs below, but if the user thinks that they have like some kind of good, maybe I thought something like that. So let's say the user will put some values here. So they think like, okay, the next 10 years it's gonna be 1.2% for each year to, and maybe like maybe it's gonna be lower in the 100 years after that, and even lower in the 1,000 year after that. So, but I'm very interested at what kind of values would people. So this would be like annual. Let's go now like extinction probabilities. Or it could also be like survival probabilities by that time. That could be like, it could whatever, like, because I could then like translate it to other way around, but the user can choose. But then if the user submits, then it goes to this kind of like Google Sheet, or it goes like and then I can like and then I can take it from there back to the website, and then I can show average so could be like average values, or it could be also like some kind of like what's the worst 10% values, or from the worst, or like the most pessimistic 10%, or optimistic 10%, and something like that, and then it would draw the you could draw the what kind of like end results you get with those values. And it could also go, if we have like 100 people here, we could draw a line for each of those people, like 100 different selections. But yeah, I've been also like thinking about making some kind of polls on this on social media or like that, because it's or maybe just have like what already quite interesting to me is like do people what do people consider the highest? So if we are thinking about like these are, of course, this concept that these are yearly values, so like so if you think about next 100 years, the yearly value, or next 10 years, because I think like for myself, maybe this next 10 years is higher than next 100 years on year. Of course, like we are more likely to be a lot more likely to be destroyed in the next 100 years than the next, or I don't know, like this could be again like 25, 20, again to make this clearer, 26 to 2036 and 2036 to 20 this and 6 to 3000. We have 6 because I think there's like right now like there's some very like escalation potential going on regarding like nuclear war that wasn't there, or it's a lot worse now I think than it was like 5 years ago before the Ukraine Russia crisis. So but then I think that if we survive this next 10 years and we get to this stage, if we have survived, then it probably means that the Ukraine-Russia crisis has ended one way or another, and that's good news for not having the extinction or this doomsday event in any given year. Maybe this any given year is, I don't know, like how to, because even for me, like even if I like know what I'm talking about, like annual probabilities, I still like my mind still goes to think that no, I'm actually Finnish, so Finnish is probably like it's quite close, so might sound a bit similar. So yeah, it's hard to kind of like this annual. Hard to get out of this mindset that we are not looking at the next 100 years in total, but we are looking at the yearly probabilities within that 100-year time frame, I think. Yeah, and here again same, but yeah, I would, and also I think this might even be bigger, like if we survive until 2136, I think that like then there will be no, okay, this might be a little bit of like optimistic, but like it could be possible that no more poverty. Because if you look at like how the poverty percentages have been going down over the past decades, I think it is like very, very doable. And we have like technological progress, making everything easier. That's we have had until this time, and like of course there's always this that are we gonna also have like more threats, like as we have had like we've gotten in the like nuclear weapons, and now we can make some like already like some kind of engineered pandemics, or then there might be some artificial intelligence threats and something like that. But it might also be that if there's no poverty, that will reduce conflict and people will have maybe I'm optimistic, but less reasons to be to attack other people. Yeah. ineffectiveness of nuclear weapons in what sense do you mean that in terms of like winning a war or something like that? Yeah, poverty is subjective, and yeah, and I think the thing that I'm referring here is this. It's something like $2 per day, some kind of absolute poverty measure. This is gonna like inflation adjusted, so that it's gonna like has been like maybe like $1 here, and now it's $2 because you don't get as much food and stuff with $2 here than you used to here. So it's but it's still and that is very like, of course, very and I'm not sure if it's a relevant how relevant of a measure, but it is something. Yeah, I think I have the same impression that it's not, maybe it's not super effective, but I think it's more of a it is more of a deterrence, I think, than nuclear weapons. That and kind of like, if you have nuclear weapons, no one is gonna use nuclear weapons on you, or no one is gonna attack your capital with any kind of weapons all of a sudden, because they will know that you will retaliate with them, and they can, or it's gonna like, it's also that like, even if the retaliation itself it's not so bad, then it will kind of like, it could trigger this kind of like exchange, or kind of like start this chain reaction of nukes going everywhere, and then we get this nuclear winter and stuff like that. And yeah, and of course it's, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah. Let's see if I have some other. Yeah. I think I'm gonna end here. I will probably like have more streams on this, but this was like a some kind of overview, and also like I got some new stuff to think about here, or like or about like some choices that I didn't think that would be so tricky, but there's like a there's a lot of like choices here to make that on balancing on like simplicity, and balancing on getting lots of information across, and having the lots of options for the user. And I'm not really sure, but it is interesting thing, and this kind of like drawing it on the paper thing, I think it works pretty well. And it's yeah, thank you VJ Reds for a nice discussion here, and keeping me some company. And thanks for everyone else for watching as well. And